witnesses.
They are considering legal action against the operation by the anti-graft agency, which they described as barbaric. Ayodeji Moradeyo, TVC News, Akure.
The truth of the matter is that the commission did very, very diligent surveillance for more than 6 weeks. It was not a one-off thing. It was the fruit of our reconnaissance, our surveillance, intelligence over time, lasting about 6 weeks. You know, it was a party scene, and our intelligence showed that all of the people, the 127 suspects that were arrested, they were in that party.
All right, gentlemen. There have been diverse reactions to this matter, but I thought EFCC banned sting operations at night. But I mean,
well, for a nightclub, it would have been impossible for you to do such an operation during the day. So I see this as an exception. But the challenge there with this operation is that the EFCC is failing to listen to the voice of those who are on the streets and who have video evidence to back up all that transpired that day.
The EFCC official said it's stage managed.
Well, I don't know how you stage manage what we can see live, how they were shooting. I don't know how many of those videos you saw, but I saw one person who was in a house by the window showing them drive out of that place recklessly in people's vehicles that they took from there, shooting pa, 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 in the night. The question has been asked over and over, and nobody will fault the EFCC fighting cybercrime. We were told that we lose up to $500 million yearly to cybercrime. Nobody is against that. But these things must be done in a way that you don't even scare away investors. For instance, that's one of those clubs also had hotel facility. They went into some of the rooms that night. Some of the operatives went in. And you see, one of the things I say to those who sit in the office to coordinate things like this is that you should also give those who are victims the benefit of the doubt, especially knowing what these operatives can be up to. As I came here this afternoon in a Uber, you needed to see the way one man that is a police officer, it's not a constable, police officer, how he handled his gun menacingly trying to stop the Uberman who was not even speeding. So some of these things, those who sit in the office, they don't pay attention to. And that's why it's bringing bad image, bad publicity to an organization that is doing a good job. Because we can't allow these fraudsters to keep milking the economy and giving us bad reputation outside the country. But in doing it, those two clubs are not sure they will get patronage in the next few months. People will be scared to go out. Who will want to stay in an hotel that EFCC came to and turned everywhere upside down? We've got to do better with what they call intelligence gathering than this. I go to nightclubs too. I doubt if there's anybody here who has not been to a nightclub, among those of us who are discussing, not even BK who is in Abuja. So, no, Mika can't tell me that. We've come a long way. We've come a long way.
All right.
So, we've got to be able to put things in proper perspective so that Nigeria is trying to develop its economy, especially the nightlife. We are trying to tell people that there is no more danger, we are away from insecurity. And one of the ways you prove it is by having a nightlife.
All right. Let me ask you, BKO. Some Nigerians have said there is no right abuse anywhere. EFCC is only doing its job backed up by law. How do you react to this?
You see, when you look at the fact that we have literally almost made it seem like advance fee fraud is no longer a bad thing. We have literally almost canonized fraudulent people. We talk about the need for a moral rebirth. We see parents proud of the fact that their children are Yahoo boys, fraudsters. We have a situation now whereby Yahoo boys have their own training schools. They train people as young as 17 and unleash them as graduates of their reprehensible training into the world. It is getting to that point that people do not even value hard work anymore. People even call going to school a scam. They don't value education anymore. They just want to be involved in advanced free fraud. And the society embraces them with open arms. We have to find a way to stop this nonsense that is going on. I do not approve of some of the heavy-handed methods of the EFCC. But in the same way, I hate with passion advance free fraudsters. Whatever can be done to stop them, because we're almost losing the war. Every unemployed graduate now thinks that, almost every unemployed graduate thinks that it makes sense to be involved in advance free fraudsters. And even people who have good jobs, some of them are getting involved. So the society is losing the battle. Parents are not playing their roles anymore. Now the EFCC, this kind of raids are not limited to Ondo State. In Kubwa, in Abuja here, they raided some of these guys. They raided them in Ada George Road in Port Harcourt. So it's like this current leadership of the EFCC is determined, just the same way it's determined to stop the abuse of the Naira. It seems determined now to ensure that these advanced free fraudsters do not have the freedom to operate the way they've been operating for years. So, yes, it is not good to go into an hotel and tell everyone to lie down. You must identify the fraudsters that you are looking for. You must identify them so that there's no collateral damage, so that innocent people do not suffer as a result of your raid. The EFCC should clean up its acts and find a way to conduct these operations without subjecting innocent patrons of hotels to unnecessary embarrassment, unnecessary disgrace. You can't tell people not to lodge in hotels. I was in Kogi State, I had to lodge in an hotel. So it will happen. It's not everyone who goes into an hotel that is a fraudulent person. So in conducting their raids, they have to be more careful so that they don't cause innocent people to suffer. But as parading these boys and guests, I am all for it. I've seen hotels where you see underage people dominating the hotel, bringing even kids as young as 15 with them. I mean, so the society has to stand up against this kind of aberrant behavior. So I support these raids, but the EFCC must find a way to conduct these raids in a much more responsible manner.
From where BKO stops, do you agree that criminal profiling is one of the biggest challenges we have here?
Yes.
And that continues to hamper effective criminal investigation?
Yeah, it's a big challenge. You cannot fight cybercrime, drug trafficking, smuggling, human trafficking. You know, some of these heinous crimes. You know, even currency counterfeiting. You cannot tackle some of these heinous crimes, you know, with any more effective method than intelligence. Your method must be intelligence-driven. You must infiltrate their ranks. Because if you have to announce your presence everywhere you go, people will just turn you to a laughingstock. Because what happens is that, of course, even the EFCC chairman has said recently that the ranks of the agency have been infiltrated and some officers have been compromised. So, you know, I remember what the police officer told me, you know, some time back that, you know, they had actually planned, there was a plan, you know, to raid some antisocial elements, you know, they had done intelligence and everything, you know, and they shared it, they have a WhatsApp group, you know, within some of those officers. They shared operational, you know, everything, what they were going to do. But the interesting thing was that within that group, some people gave information to those guys and they disappeared. Before the police officers got there, the guys had vanished into thin air. You know, if you permit that cliche. So the point is that announcing your presence by shooting heavily and all of that will just create the impression that, well, you are not really serious about dealing a decisive blow on the real issue. These are just symptoms. Young people getting into this. These are symptoms of a serious malaise, and which is the fact that the system is broken. We worship money in this country. Let us be honest with ourselves. As if Yahoo boys are some, you know, invisible elements floating about. They're all around us. People benefit from them. Parents encourage them. You know, they throw money about. And so many people would know that these guys are into this kind of business and say, I won't associate with such people. Not many. So the point is that you must deal with it on different fronts. Yes, you raid nightclubs, but you have to do it in a discreet manner. No. Because some people go there to relax, even maybe foreigners go there to relax, and you might end up getting into some trouble by breaching human rights, because that's what people are complaining about, breaching human rights. You go to some places like Lekki and all that, you break into people's houses. You don't do that. You don't do that, because ask yourself, how many times have security agencies, even during military, you know, even during the military era, they broke into people's houses and all of that. What happened? So I think the EFCC should, you know, get its act together and find more discreet ways of dealing with this without breaching human rights. I wish them all the best, but they can do better, certainly.
All right. I mean, we've all agreed that, yes, EFCC is doing its job, but must definitely do better. All right, gentlemen, there is a common but sad saying in Nigeria that whenever prices of things go up, they never come down. According to reports, the country's inflation rate climbed to more than 28-year high in May due to higher prices of food, rent, and transportation. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says inflation rose to 33.95% compared with 33.7% in April. Food inflation rose to 40.66% in May from 40.3% in April. Mikhail, let me start with you. Mikhail, are you there? All right, Doctor, let me come to you. I mean, I'm wondering how people are celebrating Salah. I was in the market yesterday, and I must say that... All right. Okay, let me go back to BKO. You can hear me. Please go on, BKO.
Yes, I think that this problem has reached a point now. The inflationary trend in the country has reached a point when we can safely say we need a presidential intervention. We've seen that presidential intervention happen in Senegal, where the new president stepped in and ordered the reduction in prices of commodities, including cement and fertilizer and rice. There are steps that this administration can take to ease the pain on our people. We have a 0.26 increase on inflationary rate over the month of April. So what we have now is 33.95%, which is a 28-year high, People can't afford to buy food that ordinarily they would love to eat every day. Yam flour, gari, beans, potatoes, palm oil, vegetable oil. Cost of food generally has gone up, and people are finding it difficult to survive. One reason for this is not simply that we are not producing. Yes, there's a need for us to get far more involved in agriculture than we are involved at this time. There's a need to secure the food production belts of our country, especially in the Northwest, where a lot of the things that we need come from, onions, watermelon, and the rest of them. There's insecurity, and insecurity makes access to farms much more difficult. Many people who had farms, a bit far away from their houses, they are now forced to farm by the roadside, because if they go deep into their fields, rice fields and the rest, they could be kidnapped. So these things, there are steps that we need to take before. Food inflation is a big enabler of high inflationary trend, because people must eat. There are things that we can forego. There are necessities of life that we can forego, but no one can forego food. And this is the big driver of the extremely high inflationary rate in our country. The monetary policy rate was increased for the third time on the bounce. It has not brought down food prices. Interest rate was also similarly increased. It has not brought down food prices. High cost of diesel is a big factor behind rising food prices, and I dare say rising food prices constitute a substantial, one big reason why the inflationary trend is so high, I would say, is because of food inflation. So I want to see the president address that in a creative way. We just can't leave things the way they are, because it's driving Nigerians to nuts. Nigerians are extremely hungry at this time. They are hungry and they need an intervention. They need government to do something to bring down the inflationary rate, to bring down food prices especially. I think that it has reached that point that government must come up with policies that help us ease the pain on our people. That is the responsibility of government. Government must find a way to ease the pain on our people, bring down the prices of food, beans, gari, all those staples that our people can literally not avoid. We just have to do something. And looking at this figure, who knows what it will be for the month of June, the way it's going. So I think that the people running the Nigerian economy and Mr. President need to do something quickly before it even degenerates.
Gentlemen, BQ has talked about presidential intervention. Others are talking about price control. I priced ejakika in the markets yesterday. And I didn't know when I shouted, ha! I mean, what exactly can work for us at this moment, Dotun?
I think the first thing on my checklist, BQ has mentioned a lot of them, is the greed of the market men and women. I watched a video yesterday over and over again from the Ondo-Ekiti axis. A man who was part of the CDA in a community went to the market and spoke with about 2 or 3 market women. How much is this tomato? 1,000 naira. I said, okay, you. Different, quantity. And then he now did what I would say an immediate kind of throwback. He had just left the Hausa community where these women bought these things. The one they were selling for 1,000 naira, they bought it for 500 naira. They didn't take transports. From that place, they bought it from the Hausa man to their market. They never took transport. Just a walking distance. But if you don't know how to go there, some even, in some areas, they ban those who want to buy not in wholesale from going to those people. Meaning that it's available, but we have to take it off them and double the price. And the man was saying, see, we put all the blames on the president, we put it on the governors. But see what you are doing in this market. Between that place and here, the 500 naira difference to what you bought for 1,000 naira. So we must check that in our people. And that's why people keep talking of price control. It's ungodly. It's dangerous for our economy. Because what they don't realize is that these are the drivers of inflation. If you buy for 500 and you sell for 1,000 naira by just putting it on your table, then the person who is buying from you is also going to go back home and jack up the price of whatever that person is offering, whether it is service or goods. That's what is happening. That's the biggest issue that we have. People do not fear God again. We just want to make profits out of everything. And unknowingly, ignorantly, we are driving inflation. We'll keep doing it. One part of it that BKO talked about in terms of transportation is the cost of diesel. Then also let us now add the cost of settling security agents on the way. Right? Whether you are taking your goods from the south to the north, or from the north to the south or the east, you have the same issue. People want to stop you and say, bring
And that's why someone will buy Salaram in the north for, let's say, 100,000, get to Lagos and sell it for like 500,000 or 600,000.
Because some years back, about 2-3 years ago, we had a reporter. I'll try to bring back his name now, who traveled with a trailer driver from the north to a state in Akwa Ibom. And the man had cash of 1 million naira with him to settle security agents. And they completely spent that money.
Which is true.
Because if you don't settle, they tell you to pack. There are people that they keep for 3 days. When they get tired, they say they should go. If those ones are not willing. So for how long are we going to keep doing that? We're in a situation where these people also, like I said, fear God. Because we are just piling issues on ourselves without realizing that in our own small corner, we are part of the problem of Nigeria. We are adding to it in the way we can. You see landlords who sit somewhere and say, this because this house is the only means with which I feed myself. Take rent from 500,000 and take it to 1 million.
Continue to blame government.
And continue to blame government. Because I don't even know how much of intervention that we expect as Nigerians that government will do. We want government to provide houses. We want government to provide their food. How much of intervention?
All right, Emeka, quickly. Monetary policy rate has been increased, interest rate has been increased, but these initiatives haven't worked.
They can work. Who can borrow money at 35% and produce? That's suicidal. That is suicidal. For you to get SMEs to actually help in abating this crisis, we've said it many times that you must give them give them loans at single-digit interest rates. It's simple. Nigeria has so many SMEs, a largely informal economy. So a lot of these businessmen have to depend on bank loans to run their businesses. Is it at 35%? How much are they going to make? Do you know? Okay, BK talked about presidential intervention. Let me take your mind back to the fact that in July last year, the president declared a state of emergency on food. A task force was set up. What has happened? The task force should come and tell us what is going on. Otherwise, maybe the president needs to disband the task force and get more serious people into it. Because different interventions have been made. So if you talk about insecurity, that is one major part. Then talking about, what Dotun said actually is that, I want to add to it that not only do these security agents and the numerous task forces, those characters holding spikes on the highways, do you know, you also stand the risk of losing your consignment. It could be diverted. So the cost of doing all this, the cost of diesel and all of that. And then you also look at power supply. It's still poor. It's a major problem. Where it's available is expensive. Then forex, availability of forex is still an issue. It's an issue. So when you look at all of these things, you put all these things together, definitely there's a need for a different approach to the economy. Basically, there's a need for a different approach.
This different approach is what we don't know now.
No, we know now. One, there's no power, there's no light for businesses to thrive.
It's just the problem.
Interest rates.
We need to go the other way. We just need to go the other way.
Forest now. Let there be light. Interest rate at single digit. Insecurity. Deal with insecurity. Let there be forex supply. Those solutions will ease the tension.
All right, gentlemen. Let's move on quickly. The webs of cybercrime and terrorism continue to spread across Nigeria. But President Bola Tinubu is bent on taming them, even if it means getting help from foreign countries. President Tinubu has called for stronger collaboration between law enforcement agencies in the country and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, in the United States in the fight against cybercrime, terrorism, and other related crimes. During a meeting with the FBI Director, Christopher Ashere, at the State House in Abuja, President Tinubu stated that his administration is striving to eradicate terrorism, cybercrimes, and sextortion, and called for collaboration with the FBI for the fight to be won. Nikhil, let me start with you. This is the president outrightly asking for foreign support, is it?
Yes, and I think that he is asking for support from the right quarters. Everyone who knows a little bit about international politics, international security, can attest to the fact that the FBI are very, very good at what they do, and they do a lot of international collaboration with law enforcement teams across the world. They do joint investigative work with their partners across the world. So the president knows that if he has the FBI on his side, they will be able to help us improve our investigative prowess. That's talking about Nigerian security agencies and the office of the NSA especially. They will be able to help with training by way of intelligence capabilities and investigative skills that will help us to neutralize domestic terrorists and dismantle their networks wherever they are, within the borders of our country. So this kind of, I'm happy to see Nigeria being in a position in which it can receive help from the right quarters. And the partnership with the FBI, especially on terrorism, violent crime, cyber crime, and sextortion, will help a great deal in bringing these crimes under control within our country. Many people sit here in Nigeria and extort money from people based abroad, some of them pretending to love those people. We've seen the EFCC had in the past helped recovered monies extorted from women based in Europe and America by Nigerian men purporting to love such women. The FBI can really be of help because they have a track record and they have capabilities that we cannot say our people have an equal measure. I will not say our own security agents don't have capabilities. They have capabilities, but I will not sit here and deceive myself that they have capabilities in equal measure with the FBI or Mossad in Israel, you know. So we have to collaborate, see where we can borrow ideas, see where we can benefit from our friends in Europe and America to help us defeat insecurity. We are not saying we want America to put boots on ground here, but America can be of help, especially in the area of intelligence gathering, where we are not doing very well at this time. So I'm happy with this meeting, and I'm confident that it will help us a great deal in getting better at counter-terrorism and dealing with the threats that terrorists pose to our country.
All right, Emeka, apart from insecurity, the president is also seeking a collaborative effort to end the fight against, to push the fight against cybercrime. How can this collaboration help us in keeping our digital space safe?
Yes, of course, by using, advanced, sophisticated methods of fighting cybercrime, phishing, identity theft, some of those, all these scams, romance scams, because you find that a lot of victims, in some of these high level, in some of these high level crimes are actually in foreign countries. They're outside Nigeria. So definitely there's a need for the FBI and the other authorities, law enforcement authorities, particularly in the West, to assist Nigeria in cutting illicit flows, in making sure that they can track the footprints, the digital footprints of scammers, and make sure they get more of them arrested, tried, and jailed, and then seize the proceeds of crime. Then Nigeria also has to help. Some of the stories we hear about how people have access to funds, have access is also in the financial system, have access to certain kinds of funds, stupendous, to be able to corral large amount of funds running into billions, one individual. What it means is that the controls are loose. So the operatives in the financial system in Nigeria also need training. They need to be trained. They need to especially be trained in developing multiple layers of control, quality control to ensure that, it's not easy for funds to disappear, within the banking system, especially. And then, of course, it is salutary that the CBN that actually, in recent months, got some of these, payment platforms, to stop allowing, people to use their platforms for crypto trading and for fraud. It is good, but it has to also tighten its screws to make sure that these people do not find hope, because scammers are always looking for opportunities to, to game the system. They don't rest. So when you block them in one way, they try to find another way. So the collaborative efforts must go on. In fighting terrorism, of course, Nigeria needs the assistance of the West very much. We need the assistance of the West, to ensure that money, illicit financial flows do not get to people in terrorist groups operating in Nigeria, insurgents, so that they cannot just freely operate. I mean, look at today. There was a sad report that insurgents in Sokoto State, they attacked, some communities in Sokoto State and killed, killed people. So these people are able to do some of these things because those illicit financial flows enable them to get weapons, enable them to get vehicles, enable them to get fuel, whether smuggled or whatever, and then to also disrupt the food chain, because they particularly target the food chain, and then what's the resultant effect?
All right, so terrorism, cybercrime, what good can we get from this collaboration?
Plenty. The week the FBI director, Christopher Ray, was in Nigeria, 2 guys were jailed, convicted for defrauding Americans online. So, without the collaboration of behavior in this, it would have been almost impossible. And we must commend our own team here too. They are doing well. What I see as a big difference between us is that the likelihood of you getting away with a crime is almost nil. But crime still happens right there in the US. Every day, all of their agencies, they keep churning out wanted, whether you are talking of the DEA, the FBI, they are looking for people every day because crimes get committed. But the point for them is nobody who commits a crime must go away with it, must get away. You won't go unpunished. And it's good that we're having this collaboration. It also helps our people because also they do, they conduct training for our people, whether in Nigeria or outside of it. So we stand to benefit a lot, and we must work with them closely to get things sorted out. I know there is a case still ongoing, a sextortion case, where a teenager in the US had to kill himself because a Nigerian was threatening him.
All right,
Those are
gentlemen.
the kind of collaborations that we want.
All right.
Let's wipe out crime.
All right, gentlemen, let's go on a break. And when we come back, we will continue this conversation. Stay with us.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secret of the financial world.
Breaking down intricate economic and financial matters.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrencies.
We unveil and analyze complex policies of the CBN and other government parastatals as they affect your everyday life, keeping you a step ahead every time.
Okay, this is good.
Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate facts from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First, with breaking news.
Our planet, our home, threatened by man's activities with fears of mass extinction on the rise. On Green Angle, we examine the issues that affect our environment, seek solutions to put us on track to secure and restore a cleaner and greener world for generations to come.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers. Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are a long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyinbo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call a permanent solution.
This place is one of the most dangerous areas at the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crumbs of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's model megacity, to move our GDP from the 5-6 position to the 3rd position, and we believe it's achievable with all the commitments we have.
Explore the city of Lagos, where dreams are made and possibilities are endless. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Welcome back to Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and I've been hanging out with Emeka Madunagu, Dotun Ladipo, and Babajide Kolade Utitoju. Gentlemen, thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Now let's move on quickly. It's Eid-el-Kabir celebration across the world, but the joy of the festival is being eroded by high cost of ram in Nigeria. Many Muslims are lamenting the rams and for items needed for the celebrations are no longer affordable. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu said the sacrifices and great expectations of citizens will not be in vain. President Tinubu, who felicitates with Muslims on Eid-el-Kabir, urged the faithful to reflect on the essence of the occasion. Let's hear from the president.
We have been told by the chief imam on the highway, follow the path of sacrifice. Sacrifice being a very good citizen. It comes with responsibilities as citizens. What do you do as a citizen to be a very committed member of our society? That's sacrifice. Loving your country, loving your neighbors, share what we have with each other, and be thankful to Almighty God. That's all.
President Bola Tinubu speaking there. Gentlemen, the president's speech is that of hope, but how instructive is it for Muslims and for Nigerians in general?
I think we need these messages from time to time. I'm a very strong believer in the leader speaking continuously to the people. Whether you see them doing it or not, keep talking. It's one of the things that will eventually inspire hope, that will eventually lead us into doing what we need to do. We need a leader who can keep speaking, who can keep talking to us. Yes, we also need a leader who will also do what he's saying. Just do what you say. Do what you preach. But the first thing is, we need a leader who is going to inspire us into action. Things are happening. We got into this a long time ago. a lot of people a few people saw it coming, including guests who have been appearing on this program for years, especially the brain behind this idea, BKO. But a lot of people felt we have the money, and like it was said in the early 70s, it is how to spend it, that is our problem. Now we are where we are. We need a leader who is going to lead us out of it. And the first thing to do in leadership is to be able to put your thoughts together, your ideas, and sell it to the people. He's the #1 salesman of the country, and he must keep doing that. You expect a lot from him. It might not happen immediately the way he has said it, but there's something about talking to people regularly.
Emeka, quickly.
Well, it's good to talk, but when the people's stomachs are empty, I don't know how far talk will help them, because there's an acute hunger. I mean, you go out there, people tell you they've not had anything to eat since morning. You receive text messages, you yourself, you need money, but what do you do? What do you do? Somebody in the morning, early morning, tells you that, look, my family and I don't have anything to eat this morning, and we're depending on you. But you have to do something. Your conscience will just, So, yes, it's good to give out messages of hope. Good. But we also need action to deal with some of these things, because some of these things are actually contrived. The insecurity, for instance. Who are these fellows that are just constantly killing, are constantly killing people, threatening food security, making the whole space ungovernable? Is it that government, doesn't want to go all out to get them out, to deal with them? Because when they keep doing these things, they are deliberate. They want to make sure that, food supply is threatened and there's hunger. And what will that lead to? Your guess is as good as mine. So the point is that, yes, it's good. Things will get better. But I think also, if it is possible, for instance, for government to, like the way the prices of like rams went up, before this season, dramatically, it's shocking. A lot of people are even shocked that how come? I mean, it's not as if it's all Nigerians it's a general season that all Nigerians are going out to buy rams. So what is going on? So definitely, against next year, I think government can do something about increasing the stock, of livestock available, and actually taking definite actions to control the prices, so that when this season comes, Muslims can, actually joyfully, celebrate, joyfully.
All right. BKO, President Tinubu says the sacrifices of Nigerians will not be in vain.
That is our wish. That is our prayer. And that's why we are appealing to the government to do whatever it can to bring down the rate of inflation, which is approaching 40-year high now. So you can see when people say this is the worst Salah in 3 decades, it is because they've never had it this bad. Tomato prices are driving people crazy. And rams, big rams, are being sold at a rate of 750,000, medium-sized ones in the range of 450, 350, while the very small ones are being sold at 200 and 150,000. The strain, the economic strain, is on everyone. It's on the buyer, it's on the seller. So people can't sell the same units of commodities that they used to sell or that they sold last year, the same number of rams they sold last year, they are only able to sell a fraction. And this is a season when our Muslim brothers and sisters like to share, like to show generosity to people in their neighborhood. But this traditional way of celebrating the festival has been badly eroded by the depreciating economy. People's disposable incomes are shrinking, so they are struggling. They are struggling to get by. And in such a situation, the things that you used to do that gave you joy in this season, people can hardly do it. So if you are expecting your friend to bring meat to the office after the holidays, and your friend is not forthcoming,
no matter how little.
You can understand. You can understand. So I won't be overly anxious to receive meat supply from my friends, because I know that it's tough for everyone. So I will
be hopeful. You might still get some.
I don't get your meat.
All right.
I don't get
let's
it
speak with our guest.
from you. Even you, I won't feel bad.
Okay.
But that's not to say you should not attempt to give me.
All right. Gentlemen, let's speak with our guest. Joining us for more insights on this issue is a Muslim faithful and public affairs analyst, Niyi Saliu. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and happy Salah to you, Mr. Saliu.
Good afternoon. Thank you. We are in Nepal. We are celebrating our Salah, and everything seems to be going on well.
All right. Happy Salah to you. Now let's start with the essence of the festival. What does it hold for Muslims?
Well, the first thing is about giving. Islam, well, the strongest, part of our tenet, which is giving, remembering the poor, catering to the needy, and supporting, one another, particularly at this time. And, this time in our economy particularly calls for support, calls for cooperation, calls for, unity. And that's what we are preaching. We're also preaching peace. Lots are repeated today all over the world, particularly in Nigeria. We have heard sermons about peace, keeping the peace, supporting the government, supporting each other, supporting the needy, particularly at this time, being faithful, working honestly to earn our living, being honest, integrity, and the rest. But at this time, that everything is, hitting the roof, what is important is for those that are lucky, are blessed, to support the ones that are not, able to, support themselves at this time, celebrate Salah like they would like to do. So when you are celebrating in your house, it's not just for yourself, it's for everyone in your neighborhood. And the sunnah of our Prophet preaches that your neighbors, 40 houses to your left, your right, your step down to the back. So just look around and see whoever you can cater to at this point. It's important that when you are celebrating, you have enough or you can manage. At any point in time, just remember that some people can't feed themselves. Some people can't celebrate like they would like to do. So those are the people that are very important today. So when you celebrate your house, remember those people. Celebrate with them, ensure that they also get something to eat and feed their family.
All right. But because one key feature of this festival is slaughtering of ram, what impact is this exorbitant price of ram in the market having on this celebration?
Look, it's tough for everyone. It's tough. It's not just about what people are earning. I have been paying attention to allocation, salaries, and a lot of people are earning a lot of money. What has gone up is asset prices, price of perishable items, price of commodities. It's gone up a lot to the point that no matter what you are earning, you see a lot of challenges meeting your needs. So that's the point. Yes, inflation is rising, but what we also need to do is to talk to ourselves. Some items, you don't need, we don't need to increase the items. For instance, rent. It doesn't really, an occasion like this, people don't indiscriminately increase the price of items because there's inflation, because dollar is rising, because the general situation of the economy is not really good at this time. So I think what we need to do more is to talk to our character as a nation. Sometimes some parties don't need to rise because if there's no need, there are no fundamental supporting the rise of prices of foreign items. No need to increase them. So those are the issues that we need to talk to our people about. Then government also, well, I know that they have heard that the citizens know that there are challenges. We are facing a lot of tough times. Buying land is a lot of, you need to put on a lot of effort to bring money, your life savings to be able to buy one. You bought some 250, 300 that we used to buy at 70, 80. They have reached to 200,000, 350, 200,000 naira. So it's a lot of challenge for Muslims at this time. But my advice and my encouragement to you at this time is to persevere. It's all about people, our brothers, that also devise the means of the religion allows us to kill around today, tomorrow, and next tomorrow. So, because some of these things too, the law of demand and supply also affected. Because there is a lot of rush now, the price to go up. Yes, that's in addition to the issue of the economy. But tomorrow will come down a bit, next tomorrow will come down a bit. Because that's to the law of demand and supply. So some will kill their rams tomorrow, some will kill them tomorrow. So it's a lot of time now that people are trying to adapt to.
Mr. Tadu, is there...
What we have had so far, we should begin to see respite. It's a general situation. And by the way, it's not just peculiar to Nigeria, it's a situation that is affecting all economies worldwide.
All right, but is there an implication of not having the means to slaughter a ram?
Look, the religion has provided for everything. If you cannot afford to kill a ram, you have not committed any offense. You have not committed anything. What God wants to see is your heart. And people are demonstrating today. You know, we went to eat, to pray. And that is enough for everyone. If you can't afford it, truly, just do what you can afford. And as Muslims, we are brothers to one another. Whoever is is sufficient in his house should know and remember that there are others that are struggling. And also, whatever you can do, extend to them. So there is no offense committed if you can afford it. There is no crime in it. What is important is that God sees your heart, you are faithful, you have observed the Eid, you have done what you are supposed to do as a Muslim, and you also remember all the tenets of Islam, love one another, be each other's keeper, and be integrous, be good, be faithful. Those are the things that Islam preaches. So that you are not able to kill a ram today does not make you a sinner, does not make you a bad person. There are millions of them. Those in Eid today don't even know where their rams are being killed. And that is the lesson. They don't know, they've killed rams, they don't know where their rams are being killed, they don't know who is getting their rams. What is important is your faith as Muslims. It's a difficult time for everybody in Nigeria. This time will pass. Unless there are those who are not able to kill this year, will kill next year. What's important is our faith, is our commitment to continue to pray for this country, and is responsibility as citizens to be responsible to our nation, pay our tax, and continue to hope that this will change. And tie our hopes and aspirations to the determination of this government to change the tide and bring back the economy that is favorable to the common man.
Well, there has always been this talk about alternative. During festivals like this, you earlier made that point, but you didn't give us those alternatives. And then the second question is this: there is this feeling among people that the moment you start killing a ram as a Muslim, then you can't break from that tradition. That is, yes, so it's part of what I want you to address so that people can understand it.
No, it's like recognizes that, there is a lot of times, and there are times that you don't have the capacity to do certain things. So there is no compulsion in a lot of things in Islam. The only thing, even your 5 times daily prayers, also at some point, if you are sick, if you are bedridden, Islam permits you, the space to get well and return, to pray. The most important part of Islam is your 5 daily prayers. So you keep that this year, or last year, you are not able to keep this year, you are not breaking any law, you are not committing any offense. God sees your heart. God sees that you don't know have the capacity. He sends the applause to Hajj. Hajj only teaches to those who have the capacity to go online. If you do not have the capacity, there is no reason why you should force yourself. You do not need to take a day to kill a ram or go on Hajj. So this religion preaches convenience. What you are able to afford, what you can do without breaking your back. And it's a point that Muslim brothers understand this. There is no rule that makes it compulsory for you to kill a ram in Kabir. No, there is no need for you. What you need to do is to celebrate this. If you have wear your best clothes, go to eat, pray, and marry with your brothers and sisters in Islam. There is no force, there is nothing about it. If you have not killed a ram in your house, go to your neighbor's house who has killed one, celebrate with him, be happy. And Allah, in His mercy, will bless you next year to be able to do that.
What are the alternatives if you don't do ram?
Alternative is provision that you can afford. If you can afford a goat, do it. If you can afford fish, even fish, buy fish, feed your family. Look, all of these things, there's no compulsion in any of them. Affordability to every tenant, Islam has attached affordability to it. If you can afford it, you pay.
All right.
If you cannot, just celebrate, be happy, marry, be happy for yourself, be happy for your neighbors, celebrate your family, and not one to repeat it. Don't sit down and be regretting that you are not able to do these things. You don't have money. No, Allah forbids that. Don't be happy. We are happy that we are alive. So go there, somebody else down. There's a reason to be grateful to God at any point in time.
All right.
So, what do you say, to people? What do you say to people who borrow to go on Hajj, borrow to buy rams, and then get into debt after that? And then you even see government officials who use state funds, use state funds to go on Hajj, use state funds to buy rams. And at the end of the day, everybody is talking of sacrifice. In
fact, there was a story of a family house.
Yes. There is something, on social media. I don't know whether it's true.
Government is so
and that
I heard a lot of people complaining. The government about subsidizing because of going to Hajj. It's not only peculiar to Hajj. When people go to Jerusalem, government subsidizes it. All the local government is social service. Government intervenes in everything, in your religion, in your livelihood, in your social jobs, in everything. That's what government is there for. They also support businesses. You understand? You see, when you want to criticize government, look at it holistically. Let us speak at mindset. This government also supports, subsidizes healthcare. They subsidize education. If government decides not to subsidize education, people will be paying in school fees today. They won't be able to afford education. People will not be able to go to hospital. If government are not going to subsidize it. So, look, Government intervenes in everything, in hospital, in education, in healthcare, in education, in everything. Do you understand?
Including religion. Including religion. Including religion.
Out of their learning at all, they can do it. It shouldn't be out of range for the common man. If government realizes that, look, it is a requirement in our religion and it's not supporting, there's nothing wrong with it.
All right.
As long as other things don't suffer.
All right. All right, Mr. Saliu. BK, do you have a question for Mr. Saliu?
No, I do not.
All right. Mr. Saliu, you didn't answer the first part of his question. Is it a crime to borrow, to buy...
To borrow,
RAM?
Yeah, and to burn Hajj.
Yes. No. The EU does not support anyone borrowing to fulfill an obligation. He only supports those who can afford it and who are able to do it out of what they have earned. You don't need to borrow to go on Hajj. You don't need to borrow to kill Salaram or meet other obligations. You need to do it out of your own provisions.
Right.
Because when you go on Hajj, you need to also provide for your family before you leave and make sure that you do not suffer while you are away on Hajj. So people need to understand this religion to be able to serve Allah.
All right. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Niyi Saliu, Muslim Faithful Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and happy Eid-el-Kabir to you. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Happy Eid-el-Kabir.
All right. Thank you very much. There you have it. You don't have to borrow to buy salary.
You don't have to sell your family house.
Gentlemen, let's move on quickly. The battle for the throne of Kano rages and the context is becoming too close to call. Latest development in the crisis is that a federal high court sitting in Kano has ordered the state government to pay 10 million naira as compensation for breaching the fundamental human right of the 15th Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero. The presiding judge, Justice Simon Ahmad Beda, described the order given by Governor Abba Yusuf for the arrest of Aminu Bayero as unlawful. Justice Ahmad Beda also restrained the State Attorney General, the Nigeria Police Force, and the State Commissioner of Police from arresting, detaining, threatening, intimidating, harassing the 15th Emir, or further interfering with his fundamental human right. Mikhail, let me start with you. Are you surprised?
No, and let me use this opportunity to thank Justice Amobeda, because he said in open court to the hearing of everyone that one of the things that judges do not like is people misinterpreting their judgments, misreading their decisions. And he mentioned me in his court as one of the journalists who takes his time to study judgments before commenting on them. I feel really indebted to His Lordship Justice Amobeda for the honor of singling me out as a Nigerian journalist who takes his time to study judgments before coming on air to analyze such judgments. I think that the point is clear. Many people have told me, oh, they had lawyers saying that the Federal High Court has no jurisdiction on chieftaincy matters. What a lot of these people do not know is that where human rights violation is involved, where the victim is seeking the enforcement of his fundamental rights, in chieftaincy matters, the Federal High Court can assume jurisdiction. Hearing people who are senior lawyers, including a professor of law, coming out to say that the Federal High Court has no jurisdiction in chieftaincy matters without looking at the fact that the appeal court had ruled in the matter of Mustapha Jokolo, the former emir of Gwandu, that when it comes to the enforcement of the human rights, the rights of the applicant, the Federal High Court can assume jurisdiction. That is the judgment of the Federal of the Court of Appeal, and it subsists till today. So for people to come on air, including people who are learned, including a professor, to say no, appeal court, court of the Federal High Court does not have jurisdiction, I'm really shocked. I'm surprised, because as somebody who is not a lawyer, I know this. And there are cases in the past, apart from Mustapha Jokolo's matter. Sanusi, Muhammadu Sanusi II, the former CBN governor who has just been reinstated as emir of Kano, he approached a Federal High Court in Abuja after he was dethroned by Governor Ganduje. And on November 30, 2021, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja nullified his banishment to away in Nasarawa State. And the court ruled that it was a violation of his fundamental human rights. The court also ruled that it was wrong to forcefully remove him from his palace at that time. So, and the court, the Federal High Court, headed by Justice Chikere, declared null and void the 2019 law that was relied upon to remove Sanusi and then banished him. So, in this case, Justice Amobeda affirmed that the governor of Kano State was wrong to have arrogated to himself the power to order the arrest of the emir. And the judge affirmed that the governor had no power to use, what's it called? It had no power to order his arrest in the manner that he did. The judgment took 2 hours. And the point that the judge was saying in the LA was, if the Kano governor had state police, what would he have done? So he slammed a penal fee against the state government for the way the matter was handled and ordering the arrest of the emir. I want to praise the judge for one thing. In giving that judgment, the judge did not refer to chieftaincy matters. He dealt with the matter of the enforcement of the rights of Emir Aminu Ado Bayero. And he affirmed that the government had no power, had no reason in the world to give that order, to order the security agencies to arrest the emir. If they had done that, it would most likely have led to violence in Kano. Because the matter is a very emotive one. And the city is divided. There are those who want Sanusi, there are those who do not want him. Remember, I've said before that they come from the same family. Sanusi was raised under the roof of Aminu Ado Bayero's father. They were living in the same house. They were brought up in the same house. Now politicians have found a way to divide them. If you read what Emir Sanusi said, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, he referred to what I had said earlier, that we are brothers, but some people have divided us. That is what I found really bad in this matter, because Sanusi is also married to Emir Aminu Ado-Bayero's younger sister. So you can see two brothers or cousins divided by politicians, by self-seeking politicians. So this is the situation. So this matter, I'm not surprised, because I know that once it comes to the enforcement of the rights of a chieftaincy title holder, of a traditional ruler, the Federal High Court is permitted to exercise jurisdiction. So this is where it ends on this matter, because the Emir Sanusi, Emir Ado-Bayero brought the issue of infringement of his rights. You were supposed to allow him 48 hours. You announced that you will allow him 48 hours to pack his things from the palace. But before 48 hours, the state government barged into the palace. They didn't give him the 48 hours that they promised to allow him to move his things. They moved forcefully into the palace, and the newly reinstated emir took custody of the palace. That is an infringement, that was an infringement of his rights. So,
but BQ, the Kano state government
done the right thing.
But the Kano state government has rejected this 10 million fine on the basis that the police have continued to take orders from above and not from him.
The police are not, what they are saying is neither here nor there. This is a decision by the court. And until another court says, a superior court says, no, this judgment is wrong, the state government has to obey it. It's the same way that they demolish people's homes, and the court ordered them to pay compensation. Kano state government has begun paying compensation for people's shops and buildings that they demolished the other day. So politicians will make mistakes, but we as journalists, we are not interested in the politics that they are playing. Yes, the governor said he believes that the police are taking instructions from Abuja or from whatever. That is not my business. My business is not to investigate from where the police are taking their instructions. My own is to look at the way the case panned out. And I'm saying that where human rights violation or is suspected that somebody's human rights, whether that person is an emir or a traditional ruler or an oba, where his rights are suspected to have been infringed, the Federal High Court can assume jurisdiction on such matters. And this is what happened in the matter of Sanusi. He got a Federal High Court in Abuja to declare his banishment to away in Nasarawa State null and void. The banishment of Mustafa Jokolo, former emir of Gwandu, was also nullified by the court. You know? So the Federal High Court can... Why didn't Sanusi go before a Kano High Court? Why didn't he take the matter before a Kano High Court? He took it to a Federal High Court and he got judgment. Today, the court's judgment is that as a Nigerian, he can move from any part of Nigeria that he feels from one point to another within our country. You cannot localize him to one community and say he cannot move out of the community. That is the judgment of the court. And he can visit even his hometown, where you removed him as king. He's free to visit the place. Because Mustafa Jokolo, after winning in court, visited Birnin Kebbi, where he used to be the traditional ruler, and he was well received. So we need to understand these issues and not simply listen to people who, most of the time, they've not even read the judgment, and they will go and lie against judges that the judge said this, that the judge said that. It is not right. We need to
Thank you.
get a
Thank you,
good
Mikhail.
hand on the judgment before making our position known.
All right, thank you, Mikhail. Dr. I wonder how you react to this court judgment.
Well, I feel good that there is peace in Kano. Like Mikhail said, any slight thing on this matter that people see as bias will spark riots. And we know the way Kano turns out when it comes to reacting to issues. It's one of the reasons I've praised the courts and I've praised the security agencies involved in maintaining peace in Kano, especially the Commissioner of Police, CP Sani Gumel. They've done very well, because if the supporters of any of the two parties, if they've seen anything that appears to want to offend their position, so as in defending the other person or backing one against the other, there would have been violence. And I think what the court has done, for me, is perfect. Don't allow injustice to fester. If you allow it today, it will be allowed again and again and again until that position is upturned by a higher court. Sanusi, like we said, got this same kind of judgment in his own favor. So why not Adubayiro? He's also entitled to it. It's a judgment. The Kano State government can go to court and seek to upturn it. The Court of Appeal is there. The Supreme Court is there as a final arbiter. Like I said to myself some days back, this drama is going to take a very long time to end. So the best thing is for the parties involved to maintain neutrality. Let them be neutral. And largely, for me, because the Kano State government can be neutral again, that's taking the position. That lies with the judiciary and the security agencies.
All right. Emeka, I think sometimes I undermine the power of a Nigerian politician, because if Emir Sanusi could say, we are brothers, but politicians have found a way to divide us, this speaks volumes about how powerful Nigerian politicians are.
Why wouldn't they be powerful? Are they not the ones who bring the levers of power? Yes, they are the ones, determining, taking actions, policies, and all of that. But the interesting thing is that the court has actually assumed a definite position on the issue of fundamental human rights, enforcement of fundamental human rights, which has been a major problem in Nigeria, and has festered impunity and the abuse of the rule of law. So I believe the higher courts will actually
you think this will be appealed?
Yeah, they will appeal it, yeah, because I won't be surprised if the state government, for instance, says that it took that action, asking the police to arrest to arrest Adubayiro because one of the ruling of the Federal High Court, that there was a dispute about whether it was delivered in Nigeria or the US, and the likely breach of law and order. So I know definitely the courts, yes, the higher courts will take a final. We will definitely address the issue of whether his fundamental human rights were actually breached, and whether the state government, the Kano State government, had the right to make such orders, based on perhaps security reports they received of the likely breakdown of law and order. So definitely they didn't send people to go and arrest him. They asked the police to arrest him. which is a normal thing, like going to the police station to file a complaint. Was it in order to ask the police to arrest him? Well, I believe the higher courts will determine that.
All right, BKO. Definitely, we've not seen the end to this case, but is there any lesson traditional institutions or politicians can learn from this? And do you also think that the authority that comes with this tool, the reverence that comes with the exalted seat of the emir, is still there or may return after this case ends, sort of?
Let me also say, I hear people say, oh, governors have the right to fire, governors have the power to fire traditional rulers. Again, it is wrong to assume that on any premise you can fire a traditional ruler. The courts in Nigeria have ordered that Mustapha Jokolo be reinstated because he didn't get fair hearing. So no governor has absolute power to remove a traditional ruler. You must follow the law. And you must also give the traditional ruler fair hearing. In this case, again, just reacting to what Emeka said, you gave the emir 48 hours to move his things out. But you didn't permit him to move his things out within 48 hours. You quickly rushed the man that you have just reinstated into the palace. Is that not an infringement of his rights? Again, the courts have ruled that you cannot banish a traditional ruler. If a traditional ruler has the power to move around in our country, except he has committed an offense. In this case, you cannot say that the traditional ruler, the former emir, the deposed emir, Aminu Ado Bayero, cannot travel to his hometown because the judgments of our courts have invalidated the idea of banishing a traditional ruler. So he can travel to his hometown the same way that Mustapha Jokolo, after the judgment that favored him, traveled to Eid-el-Kabir. So if you assume that a person should not come into Kano, is that not an infringement of his right to movement? So these judges know what they are doing. Let the state government go and appeal if it believes that it has been wrongly accused of infringing on the rights of the emir Aminu Ado Bayero. Let them appeal. But you cannot say you will not obey the decision of the court. It's only a superior court that can render that decision invalid. And if indeed, as we all know, they gave him 48 hours to pack his things, and they didn't wait for the 48 hours before forcefully taking control of the place, I don't know how you can argue that that's not an infringement of someone's right. And then you order somebody to be arrested for the crime of coming back to his hometown. He didn't go to the palace.
All right.
He just came back into Kano, and then you ordered his arrest. How do you explain that? Does that make any sense? So these are the things. Politicians make these mistakes, and they need to be told that, look, there are certain things that you don't do. They accuse the NSA of being behind this problem.
All right.
But they had to apologize. In the end, they apologized to the NSA. The deputy governor apologized.
All right, thank you very much, Vicky. Let's move to the final discussion for today. With just a point from 6-2 2026 World Cup qualifiers, the writing was visible on the wall that the days of Finidi George as the chief coach of the Super Eagles were numbered. But the world of sport was taken by surprise when Finidi resigned his position on Saturday. This came 2 days after the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, announced that he was shopping for a foreign technical advisor for the team. A 1-2 defeat to Benin Republic in Abidjan after escaping a home defeat to Bafana Bafana of South Africa with a 1-1 draw in Uyo in the qualifiers prevented Finidi from having a glorious reign as a manager like he achieved as a player. Indeed, not all fantastic players become good managers. Gentlemen, yes, not all fantastic players become good managers. But was Finidi George given a chance?
Well, Finidi George can't get a kind of quote-unquote chance that some will expect. That is for him to play more matches.
That a foreign coach would have gotten.
No.
Okay.
Not necessarily. We've also fired coaches before.
As early as this?
If there is a need for it. Because the time Finidi George was appointed happens to be a very crucial time. We are preparing for the World Cup. And the World Cup is a series of matches, qualifying for it, for the final. Now we're in a tight situation because we have 6 more matches to go. If we don't win those 6 matches convincingly, and those at the top, they also are able to get a point here and there, Nigeria is gone. Last World Cup, we were not there. So no Nigerian is going to forgive the NFF for us not to be at this World Cup. The last World Cup was a big show for everybody who went. And so should it be for Nigeria. So it would have been for Nigeria if we had been at that World Cup. It would have done a lot for us. Even if not every Nigerian will gain from it monetarily. At least that is one thing that makes us happy, football. It unites us. And people want to see us in the World Cup. I also agree that Finidi should have gotten a little more time. But it's impossible where we are now. Especially when you look at the last 2 matches. How technically deep did handle that match? Because you expected that, say, after going a goal up, at least for the first time in a while, we've never gone a goal up.
But is it about the coach? Or are we saying if the foreign coach they're bringing now loses or draws his first game, would sack him as well?
No, it's also about the coach. Because you expect that the bench will be able to read that match properly. You expect that the bench will be able to read the match properly. That was the difference between Nigeria and Benin Republic in that match. We had good players on the bench. Some that we feel, he might not feel that way. He might not feel that way. He might feel that he has done his best. But a lot of us feel that those who were on the bench had more to contribute to that match than even some of the changes he made.
All right, Nikhil, Finidi George has resigned. How honorable is that?
I think he came under tremendous pressure, and he had no choice. And I think it was a big mistake to make Finidi the coach of the national team. I thought that someone like Emmanuel Amuneke would have been given that job because Amuneke is better tested as a coach. Amuneke coached the Nigerian under-17 team to win the World Cup. Amuneke coached Tanzania to qualify for the African Cup of Nations after 30 years of trying to qualify without success. So at least you cannot say that Amuneke does not have the track record of success to give him that job over Finidi, who does not really have the credentials. The fact that you are coach of the B side of a club in Spain does not mean that you can be a good coach of the national team of Nigeria. Which national team have you coached before? At least Amuneke can point to the one that he coached. So I felt it was a mistake, and perhaps the process was rigged, and then Finidi got the job. Out of 4 matches, Finidi lost 2. He drew 1 and won 1. The point is we cannot wait because we are now at the risk of not qualifying for the World Cup. and whereas we are in a very weak group. If you can't beat teams like Benin Republic, and in Uyo here, we needed luck. We could have been beaten at home by South Africa. They've not done that to the Super Eagles. They've never done that to the Super Eagles. So I think that it was a good thing for him to go. Otherwise, it would have been ideal to sack him, send him packing. And then he's not taking responsibility for what happens. He's blaming other people. He's even blaming somebody who did not feature in his games. So a good coach should accept responsibility for setbacks, not turn against your own players. Although I would say that I didn't like the way Osimhen spoke. Osimhen spoke like as if there's no difference between him and Portable. You know, was using all kinds of gutter language. I expected him to be far more responsible than to open his mouth in that manner. But at the same time, when somebody lies against you, you can really get angry. But Osimhen overreacted. But I think Finidi had to go. It's a good decision to leave. We'll be able to reorganize ourselves and find a better coach.
All right, thank you. But Emeka, how bad is it that we cannot find a homegrown coach for our national teams?
Yeah, well, there are many sides to the issue. You know, yes, we have someone we can still try. Amuneke, we can still give him a chance, because if we bring in a foreign coach at this time, you know, it will take some time to understudy the team, tactics, and all of that, and then, you know, to also assess the players and all of that. But I think as a stopgap, if they can bring in Amuneke, why they are searching for a foreign coach? Because it's not just something you go into a supermarket and just pick on the shelves. You know, then again, the NFF also, I think Finidi felt demoralized, you know, that the announcement came out that the NFF had started shopping for a replacement, even while he was still in that saddle, you know. So yes, if he had to go, but I think I believe that things could have been organized. It could have been better organized. You know, because we've even seen the best coaches in the world, you know, I mean, have bad days and get fired. You know, so I think yes, if they have to pick Munich as a stopgap measure, all right, you know, yes, it's something worth trying. Yes.
We can end it there, and we really hope that the Super Eagles qualify for the World Cup.
We hope so.
Let me thank my guest, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Thank you so much for joining us from Abuja. Thank you, Dr. Oladipo Emeka Madinago, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your perspective on the program.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you very much for watching, everyone. That's all on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Once again, happy Eid-el-Kabir celebration again, and God bless Nigeria.